Hi, Grandpa Dave here. Again, thank you for watching these things. I know I'm kind of boring sometimes, but, you know, it's a character flaw. Stay tuned for something really cool.
Working in the shop, there was a little store that was kind of kitty corner from the shop.
Yeah.
Do you have any stories with the little store over there?
Yeah, I do. I got a couple. Some hard lessons, actually. You might recall some of my stories about procuring certain things like smoke bombs and stuff like that. Yeah, the owner of that store eventually apprehended me, and I had to pay the price for it. That's not here or there. I do have a record, and I don't want to go there. What I do want to talk about, if you want to go with that store, is that was the coolest store. It was kind of like a mini Walmart of things. They had groceries, they had a butcher, they had all kinds of things and stuff like glass and neat sundry things and all kinds of cool stuff. I mean, they had all kinds of stuff. And when you're a kid, when you're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, that was a place to go. Sometimes I'd go to my dad and I'd say, "Dad, can I borrow a nickel?" And he'd give me a nickel. And I'd go to the store. And you know, for a nickel back then, I could go and I could get a candy bar. Now, the Three Musketeers, that was my favorite because you get the most for your money. It was like that big, it seemed like. And it was huge. You got a lot of that. That was a nickel. The good stuff is when your dad gave you a quarter. Now, that was rare, but it did happen. What did you get for a quarter? Let me tell you. Oh, yeah. Cornucopia of yummy. Hostess Twinkie was 10 cents. Hostess cupcakes were 10 cents. And they were the good ones. Not like nowadays. They were awesomely delicious. Penny candy. Mary Jane's. I'm kind of running out of ideas of what to call these things. I can't remember what they're called. But, I mean, you get a bag full of candy like this, and a little bag. You can get a Hostess thing, a cupcake or something like that. You get candy bars. I mean, you could get anything you want. I mean, that was like the place to go. Well, my mother would send me there once in a while to pick up groceries. Not to mention the occasional S&H green stamp book. We all know about that story, so we won't talk about that. It's a little embarrassing. So she'd send me there to pick up a few things. And go get me some eggs, go get me some of this, go get me some of that. When you go up to the register, they check it out and says, "All right, that'll be $5.38. Put that on my mother's bill." And they would give me this little thing, write it out, $5.30. And then I'd sign, and that was done. And I thought, what an awesome concept. You don't need money in this world. Because I did notice in other things like that. You know, my parents would write things like checks. And I thought, you could write a check for anything you want. I could go and I could buy a house in New Zealand and just write a check. Why do I need cash? Especially that, you know, you can go back to the store and the charge account. With a charge account, why do people need money? You just have to have a charge account. You just go in there and say, "I need all this food," and you just charge it. Isn't that great? Well, anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. But this little girl in the neighborhood, her dad owned a local business, and for some reason she seemed to like me. She was okay, I guess, but, you know, I was a big 6, 7-year-old, and girls had cooties, and I just really didn't want to spend time with that. And I got invited to a birthday party. Mom told me to go to the store and pick something out for her birthday party and put it on the charge account. Okay, I went in there. I had no way I wanted to go to that because come from our house, you go to the store, and then next to the store was the elementary school, and then the playground, and then across there was a road going this way, and her house was right over there. So our house, the store, school, playground, and her house. So I went and I was looking at stuff, and I thought, what do girls like? Do they like army men? Do they like squirt guns? Army men. She likes army men. So I bought army men, put it on Lavana's charge account. The ladies kind of think, oh, really? Yeah, it's for a party I have to go to. Oh, okay. So I took those army men, and I walked out of the store, and I walked over to the school, and I got up to the playground and realized, you know what? I don't want to go to her party. I like these army men. So I sat and on the swing for 45 minutes at least, until I seen people leave the house and across the street. I thought, okay, I'm safe. So now I have these new army men I have to hide. So I went home, and I hid them, and nobody said anything. Mom didn't even ask me how the party was. And I thought, okay, I pulled that one off. Then I got thinking, that store's got a lot of yummy, good, and wonderful stuff. So instead of asking Dad for a nickel or a dime or a quarter, I decided the easy way to do would be to go and take this and 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 this toy and that toy and put it on the counter. And the lady would say, okay, that'll be $12.98 or whatever it was. I know it was over $10. Says, I'll put it on my mother's charge account. I got a couple parties I have to go to. Okay, so I signed my name. I'd got away with it. I got all these new toys. I got all this candy, and I'm just munching and enjoying the candy and just having a good old time. Well, things went by. Day went by. Another day went by. Another day went by. Finally, the candy went up, and I was going to go get a refill at the store. And my mom said, David, come here. Yeah? Sit down. Okay, now, in kiddom, when a parent tells you to come here and says sit down, that's probably serious. That's probably next to Watergate, if you know what I'm talking about. So I sat down, and she pulled out a charge receipt with my signature on it. She says, tell me about that. I had a party. Okay, what parties did you have? Did you talk to me about it? I don't remember. So where's all this stuff you bought? I don't know. Well, the concept of a charge account became more clear. The fact is you charge it and then eventually you have to pay it, which I did. And my dad actually took a little bit off my hind end to help pay for the receipt. So I never used the charge account again because I was denied access to such. I could go to the store and I was not allowed to use their charge account, which is a hard lesson to learn, really, because I thought I'd had the world by the hand. Well, that's just one lesson. There's this little kid, you might remember me talking about, the little 5-year-old that would do everything we told. Well, most of my crew was gone, nobody to play with, and this kid was just kind of hanging around. I thought, all right, we'll just play. My dad had his older van, and he had this little box in the back. And he would frequent out in the West Desert and stuff, so he always had the survival stuff in it. And I knew he had these boxes. They were like this. They were from World War II. They called them sea rations, right? And inside them, I knew there was candy. Oh, yeah. At least gum. And I was telling this kid, you want some gum? Some candy? Yeah. So I got into my dad's van. And I'm rifling through it. Ah, there they are. There was 3 boxes, 3 sea ration boxes. And I opened up one. They had these little packets in there. And I opened up, ooh, gum. They had little gum things in there. I pulled one out there. Then there's this little thing, it was about like this big by this big, and it said Marlboro. I thought, that's pretty cool. And there were matches in it too. I knew what matches were, as you may recall. I thought, oh, that's pretty cool. Let's see what's in this one. Going through it. Lucky Strike. I mean, it looked like candy to a kid, because you could go over and you could buy candy cigarettes, you could buy like candy cigars and stuff like that. So we robbed all 3 boxes. We took the cigarettes out of each box, and the matches, and the candy. Well, we went around the fence, and as you recall, there's the blacksmith shop, okay? On the west side of the blacksmith shop, there was a ditch and a hedge. So if you want to do something secretly and not get caught, you would go behind the blacksmith shop into that ditch. So me and this little kid, we went down there and we were going, okay, let's have some gum. We were having the gum and playing with the cigarettes because it was kind of cool. You know, things are from 1940, whatever. And it's like 1960 something or other. So they're like at least 20 years old, 25 years old. I don't know. I don't know anything like that. And I said, hey, I've never had a cigarette. Do I have a cigarette? This little kid's, sure, I have a cigarette. I didn't know how to smoke one, neither did he. So we opened up one of them and we put it in our mouth and we lit it. And it kind of went burned up a little real quick, and it was so dry. We were coughing and puffing and coughing and puffing, not inhaling, just puffing, you know, acting like big adults. We smoked all the packs. Time went on. Dad asked me if I knew who had got into his van and opened up those packs. Of course, I didn't know, and he knew who it was, but he never really said any more about that. You know, that's kind of the way things were. The one thing, though, that I'd want to talk about is Providence in those days. We had things called bazaars. They had a lot of bazaars, all kinds of things you'd do. Now, I kind of touched lightly about the Halloween one. As time went on, the Halloween parties got a little bit more extravagant and ended up being a whole day affair at school, you know. You were given so many tickets, and then you go from room to room, and they do all kinds of things. You'd have a lot of fun. There'd be movies to watch, food to eat, all kinds of good times. Well, that was one of the bazaars. The one I remember the most is one that they called the Sauerkraut Days. Now, Providence was founded by some people from other countries, mainly like Germany and Switzerland. And they come up with called Sauerkraut Days, and they would make a local sauerkraut, which I like, by the way, because you don't grow up in Providence and not like sauerkraut. And they would have this big to-do. It'd be a big to-do. People from all over the valley had come. My mom would spend the whole day working in the kitchen. She'd cook a turkey and cook pie and all kinds of stuff, and other women from all over the town are bringing stuff, and they're taking it to the school. And people are coming from all over to have this big meal, sauerkraut and turkey and stuff like that. Then they have what was called the sauerkraut capers, which were, as a show they'd put on, and there'd be a bunch of people doing all kinds of little fun skits and stuff like that. And those were fun parties. And that was a good time. Everybody enjoyed that. But you could also buy cans of the famous Providence sauerkraut, which is still available from my understanding. Then there was the 24th of July. Now, that was kind of a church-related thing, but it was still a city thing. And they would take the church, and they would take the whole outside of the church, and there would be, like, tables, and there would be, like, things for the kids to do. And they'd have this big pole that they put in. And that pole was there for a long time, and they'd grease it up, and then see who could climb up the pole. And nobody could get up it because it was full of grease, you know. When I talk grease, like Crisco, there's like 400 cans of Crisco in that thing you try to climb up. They do the greased pig contest, and they do the fish contest. And they get this little pole thing full of fish, and you climb in there. I caught a fish, big fish. I don't like fish. Anyway, I caught it. And they're just fun times. That's just the way I grew up. Providence was a good time. It was a good time. People didn't care that I was a little stinker, you know. They were just good, fun times. Things that I remember. Good times, good people, good memories, and I like to share them with you guys. Stand by for other things coming. I'll talk to you later. Grandpa Dave was something very serious to talk to you about. If at first you don't succeed, skydiving is definitely not for you. Talk to you later.